Donald Trump's Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick has reignited U.S.-Canada tensions by declaring that America's auto industry will always come first. His call to move manufacturing south threatens decades of cross-border integration, putting Canada's auto sector and thousands of jobs at risk. The message is clear. Under Trump, trade is transactional, and Canada's partnership now faces a hard test against America's revived protectionism.
Secretary Howard Lutnick took a shot at Canada's auto industry. Lutnick spoke at a conference in Toronto where, behind closed doors, he reportedly told the audience that when it comes to the auto sector, it's America first, Canada second. Ontario Premier Doug Ford heard that full speech, saying it was clear Washington wants Canadian car assembly operations moved to the U.S.
I would say it's a massive threat when you have the Secretary of Commerce coming out and saying that, and the President, you'd only say it if the President gave him the green light.
U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick's remarks in Toronto have intensified economic anxieties in Canada, signaling a potential shift in Washington's trade posture. By asserting that it's America first, Canada second. In the auto sector, Lutnick effectively echoed Trump's protectionist agenda, implying that U.S. leadership aims to repatriate Canadian manufacturing jobs. Ontario Premier Doug Ford's reaction captured the alarm such comments provoked, calling it a massive threat. That could only come with the President's approval. His warning reflects growing fears that Canada's automotive hub, a key driver of its economy, could face devastating consequences if the U.S. moves to relocate production south. The exchange underscores a deepening divide between economic nationalism in Washington and Canada's reliance on cross-border integration, raising questions about how Ottawa will safeguard its industrial future in an era of renewed American dominance.
As ambassador to Canada says China will drop its tariffs on agriculture if Canada drops its EV tariffs on China. How should Canada respond?
Favorably. I think this will also play very interestingly into our current negotiations with the Americans. Listening to Howard Lutnick this week saying he wanted to destroy the Canadian automobile industry, but trying to make sure that Canadians have no choice but to buy American cars, that's called pushing your luck in terms of a negotiation. Back in the fall, a year ago, before Trump was reelected, Canada made a deal with the United States that we would follow their lead and add a 100% tariff on Chinese electric vehicles. There was frankly no reason for it other than the fact that the Americans saw that the Chinese were coming in with cars that were of high quality and were much less expensive than anything the Americans could manufacture. They were worried about their industry. So we put ourselves in lockstep with them, Renee, and we said, okay, 100% tariff on Chinese electric vehicles. What did we get in return from the United States? We got attacked. We were told we were going to be made the 51st state. We were told that they were going to go after our auto industry and our other key industries and cripple us economically. Oh, and by the way, the Chinese, of course, in a tit-for-tat move, after we imposed those tariffs, decided to impose some of our agricultural products, including canola. That's really hurt our farmers out west, in particular on the prairies, but it's also something that the average Canadian taxpayer has to worry about, because of course those farmers are going to have to get subsidy.
China's offer to lift tariffs on Canadian agriculture in exchange for Ottawa removing its 100th tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles exposes the high cost of Canada's alignment with Washington's trade agenda. When Canada followed Trump's directive last year to impose steep EV tariffs, it did so without securing meaningful concessions, only to be met with US threats against its auto sector and China's retaliatory blow to Canadian canola farmers. Now, Beijing's proposal presents both an economic lifeline and a geopolitical test. Accepting it could ease pressure on Western farmers and signal a more independent trade policy, but it would also risk provoking Washington, which seeks to isolate Chinese manufacturing. The moment captures Canada's broader dilemma. Trapped between an unpredictable ally to the south and a pragmatic but controversial partner to the east, Ottawa must decide whether to keep playing by America's rules or start negotiating for its own national interest.
With me now is China's ambassador to Canada, Wang Di. Hi, Ambassador. It's a pleasure to welcome you back to our studio. Thank you for making the time.
谢谢你再次请我来。
Thank you for inviting me again.
I'm going to start right away on the primary irritant between Canada and China right now, and that is the tariffs on electric vehicles and tariffs on canola and other agricultural products. I have a very simple question. Are the tariffs on Canadian agricultural products directly on there because of the EV tariffs?
I think the question you have raised touches the crux of the problems in our trade relations. I agree with what you said, that China's tariffs on Canadians' agricultural products are a countermeasure against the EV tariffs and the unilateral unjustified tariffs on China's steel and aluminum products. And I have said multiple times, if Canada is ready to correct these practices, China will also respond accordingly.
Can I follow up then and ask very bluntly, if Canada removes the tariffs on Chinese EVs, China will then remove tariffs on Canadian agricultural products?
So if Canada removes the unilateral unjustified tariffs on Chinese products, China will also reciprocate accordingly. And if the EV tariffs are removed, then China will also remove the tariffs on the relevant products of Canada.
China's ambassador to Canada, Wang Di, delivered one of the most direct messages yet in the ongoing trade standoff between Beijing and Ottawa. By confirming that China's tariffs on Canadian agricultural products, including canola, are retaliatory measures against Canada's steel and aluminum tariffs, Wang reframed the dispute as a test of political will rather than economics. His remarks underscored that Beijing's position is transactional and reciprocal. Remove the unjustified tariffs on Chinese goods, and China will immediately lift its countermeasures. The clarity of his offer places pressure squarely on Ottawa, exposing the cost of its alignment with Washington's protectionist policies. For Canada, the decision now represents more than trade policy. It's a question of sovereignty. Will Ottawa continue to mirror U.S. trade strategy at the expense of its farmers and manufacturers, or will it take a pragmatic step toward restoring balance in its relationship with China?
So great to have, in fact, the president called and he wanted to know if it's worthwhile. He knew exactly what it was. He knew the importance. Where's Canada, by the way? Where are you? Where are you? He knew the importance of this. He said, I want to be there. So many people have done that. They called. I mean, they heard about it. And these are not people that can do that very easily. They have pretty big schedules, to put it mildly. The most powerful people. And I appreciate you being here very much, Mr. President. Fantastic. Thank you very much. So if we could ask the media to leave, and we're going to have a little conversation with all of these great leaders, which will take 5 minutes, and we'll just talk for a couple of minutes. But if we could ask the media to leave, would be great. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. So you going back?
I'll go back. I'm glad you upgraded me to president.
Oh, did I say?
Great stuff.
This moment captures Trump's flair for turning diplomacy into performance. His offhand question, "Where is Canada?" mixes humor with dominance, signaling that global attention revolves around him. Praising the most powerful people who attended, he measures success by status, not substance. Asking the media to leave reinforces his need for control, spotlight on when useful, off when it's not. Even the quip, "I'm glad you upgraded me to president," shows the casual chaos of his style. In short, it's Trump's trademark mix of ego, charm, and showmanship, where politics becomes theater and power is performed, not exercised.